David Axelrod has said, well, Biden is out of touch. He's going to lose by a landslide. I'm paraphrasing. But Axelrod has done this before. And when he did it then, I gave my political interpretation of Axelrod.
With millions watching and many people benefiting from this program called Indisputable, we just need 1% of the viewers to become a paid member so we can continue to bring this content to you. Now back to the show.
I will give it to you once more. Here's his statement.
So right after President Biden's interview aired Friday, you posted on X that he is dangerously out of touch. Why do you say that?
Well, because listening to the interview, he seemed to deny where he is in the race. He seems not to grasp what is the big concern that people have. You know, let me just say about the president, Pam, that his whole life he has overcome tremendous loss and tremendous odds. I mean, you know, his personal loss is well known, extraordinary and horrible, and he's fought his way back from that. He's fought his way back from political defeats and against the odds. And so his psyche is that he can beat anybody and any long odds. What he can't beat is Father Time, and that's really the concern here. It's not about his record. Every time he's asked about whether he can do the job until he's closer to 90 than 80, he says, well, look at what I did the last 4 years. That's just not the way it works.
All right, he said that and some other things as well. Put up the picture full mass. So former Obama White House advisor David Axelrod claimed President Joe Biden does not understand he is not winning this race against former President Donald Trump. Axelrod, a longtime Democratic strategist, has become critical of Biden in the wake of the president's poor performance at the CNN debate last week. Biden struggled at times to give coherent answers to the moderators, had a raspy voice from a cold. There's another, conversation that he may have actually been on some type of medication, et cetera, et cetera. All right, so here's the bottom line. Axelrod knew exactly what he was going to do before the debate. Let's be clear. Axelrod is a corporate guy. He is part of the machine. You don't get an Axelrod saying something like this without a wink and a nod from Democratic establishment individuals who cannot say what Axelrod is saying now. But Axelrod, by proxy, is speaking for a whole lot of other Democrats who are saying the same thing. Some gatekeepers and others are not. But it is an interesting dynamic. It's a very sad state of affairs for Democratic politics because for whatever reason, they decided to put Biden on that stage. Whatever reason, they are deciding to allow him to do more interviews. Remember the first time Biden ran for president this cycle, not the first time, but this modern time. He was the number one candidate for the Democratic voter because of electability. We saw the polling numbers. Nobody voted for Biden because they thought he was the better candidate. They voted for Biden because they thought he was the most electable against Donald Trump. Now, I said you got to be very cautious about the electability argument because that argument takes you from the stage of, politics, policy, and practice to the stage of pure mentalism, nothing else. Well, now that mentalism is fading inside of the Democratic ranks. And you see it evidenced by his adverse policies to left-leaning voters. There's more. So Democratic pundits and strategists have called on Biden to resign from the November race and allow Vice President Kamala Harris to take his desired spot as the party's nominee. Axelrod has joined a long list of Democrats calling on Biden and saying he needs to step aside, adding that he is dangerously out of touch. And I want to add, I don't think Biden is more out of touch than Trump, but still. During an interview on CNN's Inside Politics, Axelrod also said to Pamela Brown that Biden cannot defeat Father Time, adding that staying in the race would damage his political legacy. And I want to pose a question to you, David, because let's say he does resign, which automatically kicks in your constitutional hierarchy where the VP becomes the president, right? And the VP, Kamala Harris, becomes President Harris. She gets to select a vice presidential running mate. What is the flavor of a Harris-Newsom ticket, in your opinion?
Well, I mean, that would be great. The problem is constitutionally, because they're both from California, you can't make it work, right? One of them has to deny their residency in California. The other problem is that if Kamala Harris becomes president, remember the Senate still gets to confirm who the vice president could be. And so you could have, months and months and months of hearings where there's really essentially no vice president, and there's Kamala Harris trying to figure out who her running mate is. I think the biggest issue that I see in all this, and Dr. Richey, I think you pointed it out before, if President Biden, despite all of the age issues and forgetfulness and mumbling, whatever it is, if he was up over Donald Trump, say by 6 points in some of these polls instead of down, Democrats wouldn't care. They're concerned about the polling. They want a victory. And I think the Democratic Party does itself a disservice when you have a lot of Democrats saying, oh, well, Joe Biden should be beating Donald Trump by 6 points. Donald Trump's a convicted felon. Donald Trump's this, Donald Trump is that. The fact of the matter is we have to realize that this country is messed up. It's messed up because nearly half of the country, half of the electorate supports Donald Trump, period. It doesn't matter who the Democratic is. It's going to be a close election. And until I think Democrats can wrap their arms around why is it that Donald Trump is pulling off this kind of support, despite all the crass, terrible things that he has said and done, despite being a convicted felon, if we can't figure this out, it's not going to matter who the alternative is. And I think that's a challenge that a lot of Democrats don't want to step into yet.
Yeah, it's a horrible position for anyone to be in who actually cares about this country. And at the end of the day, we're probably screwed either way. But at least with a Biden, you get the opportunity to reserve democracy, which is ironic. And with a Trump, well, you can kiss democracy goodbye. Okay, we'll bring you updates as they come.